Imagine you're walking down a busy street, minding your own business, when a cop slaps you right across the face for no good reason. Sounds crazy, right? But that's exactly what happened to this one woman. And trust me, the payback was unreal. Okay, let me paint the picture for you. This all went down in a small town called Riverside back in 2018. It's one of those places where everyone knows everyone, kids play outside till dark, and the local diner serves the best apple pie you've ever tasted, the kind of spot where you think nothing bad ever happens. But on this hot summer afternoon, everything changed for a woman named Sarah Jenkins. Sarah was in her mid-30s with short brown hair, always wearing jeans and a simple t-shirt. She worked as a teacher at the local elementary school, loved reading books to her students, and spent her weekends hiking in the nearby woods. She was just an average person, or so everyone thought. Now, the cop in question was Officer Mark Thompson. He was a big guy, about 6 feet tall, with a mustache that looked like it belonged in an old Western movie. He'd been on the force for over 10 years, known around town for being tough on petty crimes like jaywalking or littering. People said he had a short fuse, especially after a rough divorce a couple years back that left him bitter. He patrolled the main street every day, handing out tickets left and right, thinking he was keeping the peace. But deep down, he had this ego that made him act like he owned the place. So here's where the trouble starts. Sarah was crossing the street that day, heading to pick up some groceries after school let out. She had her bag slung over her shoulder, humming a tune from a song her kids sang in class. The light was green for pedestrians, but Officer Thompson was in a bad mood. Maybe he spilled his coffee that morning or got chewed out by his boss. Who knows? He saw Sarah step off the curb a second too early, in his eyes, and decided to make an example out of her. Without a word, he marched up, grabbed her arm, and slapped her hard across the cheek. The sound echoed like a crack in the air, and a few passers-by stopped dead in their tracks. Sarah stumbled back, her hand flying to her face, eyes wide with shock. "What the hell?" she yelped, her voice shaking. The slap left a red mark that stung like fire, and tears welled up not from pain, but from pure humiliation. People around started whispering, pulling out their phones to record. Thompson just stood there, chest puffed out, barking, "That's for jaywalking! Learn some respect!" He thought she was just some nobody, someone he could push around to feel big. Little did he know, he'd just poked a bear he couldn't handle. This slap wasn't just a random act. It opened up a whole can of worms. See, in Riverside, tensions were already high between the police and the community. There'd been a few incidents before. A kid got roughed up for skateboarding, an old man ticketed for walking his dog too slow. People were fed up, but no one had the guts to stand up. Sarah's slap became the spark. Word spread like wildfire through texts and social media. By evening, the local Facebook group was blowing up with comments like, "That cop's out of control," and "We need to do something." Sarah herself went home, iced her face, and cried in her kitchen. But as the night went on, she got mad. Real mad. She wasn't going to let this slide. The next day, Sarah decided to fight back. She wasn't the type to cause drama. She graded papers and planned field trips, for crying out loud. But this felt personal. She called her best friend, Lisa, who worked at the town hall. Lisa was a firecracker, always organizing bake sales and community events. Together, they started digging. First, they filed a formal complaint at the police station. The desk sergeant just shrugged, saying, "Thompson's a good guy, probably a misunderstanding." That only fueled the fire. Sarah then reached out to a lawyer she knew from church, an older guy named Mr. Harlan who handled small claims but had a sharp mind. As they explored deeper, things got interesting. Turns out Officer Thompson had a history. Back in his early days on the force, there were reports of him using too much force, shoving a suspect a bit too hard, yelling at teens for loitering. But nothing stuck because the chief was his old high school buddy. Sarah and her team, now including a couple neighbors who'd seen the slap, started collecting statements. One woman said Thompson had slapped her son years ago for talking back. Another guy mentioned a time he got a bruise from a routine stop. It was like peeling an onion, layer after layer of complaints that had been swept under the rug. Meanwhile, the town was buzzing. The local newspaper, the Riverside Gazette, picked up the story after someone leaked a video from a bystander. The headline read, "Local Cop Slaps Teacher, Community Outraged." People started sharing their own stories online. A forum popped up where folks vented about police overreach. Sarah became a reluctant hero. Kids at her school drew pictures of her as a superhero, cape and all. But she was scared too. What if Thompson came after her? What if she lost her job? These doubts kept her up at night, staring at the ceiling, wondering if she should just drop it. But no, she pushed on. Exploration turned into a full-blown investigation. Sarah and Lisa went to the library, poring over public records. They found out Thompson had been suspended once in another town for similar behavior, but got reinstated quietly. How? Connections, of course. The mayor's office was involved, turning a blind eye to keep the peace. This wasn't just about one slap anymore. It was about a system that protected bad apples. Sarah started a petition, knocking on doors in the rain, explaining her story to strangers. "He thought I was ordinary," she'd say, "but I'm not letting him get away with it." Signatures piled up. 500, then 1,000. As weeks turned into months, the pressure built. The police department held a town hall meeting, but it was a disaster. Thompson showed up, arms crossed, denying everything. She was resisting, he claimed, even though the video showed otherwise. Boos filled the room. Sarah stood up, her voice steady despite her nerves, and said, "You hit me because you could, but now everyone's watching." The crowd cheered. Media from bigger cities caught wind. A news crew from the state capitol drove in, interviewing locals. Sarah's face was on TV, the red mark long gone, but the fire in her eyes burning bright. Now, let's dive deeper into Sarah's background to understand why this hit her so hard. Growing up in Riverside, she was the quiet kid in class, always with her nose in a book. Her dad was a factory worker who taught her to stand up for what's right, even if it's hard. He passed away when she was 20, leaving her to care for her mom, who had health issues. Teaching became her way to give back, shaping young minds to be kind and brave. That slap? It wasn't just physical. It shattered her sense of safety in her own town. Nights after the incident, she'd replay it in her head, the sting, the stares, the shame. But it also awakened something fierce in her. She started journaling about it, turning her pain into purpose. On the flip side, Thompson's life was unraveling. His ex-wife called him out publicly, saying he'd always had anger issues. Fellow officers distanced themselves. Whispering in the locker room, his boss put him on desk duty. But the damage was done. He tried to apologize through a lawyer, but it felt hollow. Regrets any misunderstanding. Sarah ignored it. The community rallies grew. One weekend, over 200 people marched down Main Street with signs, "No more slaps. Justice for Sarah." It was peaceful, but powerful. Kids held hands, elders waved flags. The mayor, sweating under the spotlight, promised an independent review. As the story developed, unexpected allies emerged. A retired cop named Bill, who'd worked with Thompson's dad, reached out to Sarah. "I saw this coming," he admitted over coffee. "Mark's always been hot-headed, but the department covers it up." Bill provided old emails showing ignored complaints. This was gold for the lawyer. They built a case not just against Thompson, but the whole system. Sarah spent hours in meetings, her kitchen table covered in papers. Lisa brought pizza to keep spirits up, laughter mixed with strategy sessions. Remember when he tripped on his own feet in the video? It bonded them. But challenges kept coming. Thompson's supporters, mostly old-timers, started a counter-petition, calling Sarah a troublemaker, nasty comments online. "She's exaggerating for attention," It hurt, but Sarah learned to block the noise. Her students' parents sent encouragement cards. One day, a little girl from her class hugged her and said, "You're brave, Miss Jenkins." That kept her going. The exploration phase revealed corruption deeper than anyone imagined. Bribes? Not quite, but favors exchanged, tickets dismissed for friends, promotions based on loyalty over merit. Tensions simmered as fall approached. Leaves turned orange, but the air was thick with anticipation. Sarah's lawyer filed a lawsuit against Thompson and the department for assault and negligence. The court date was set. Media hype built. Would justice prevail? Thompson looked haggard in photos, his mustache drooping. Sarah, meanwhile, transformed. She spoke at schools about standing up to bullies, even if they're in uniform. Her confidence grew. She even started a blog sharing her journey with thousands of readers. Finally, the climax hit like a thunderclap. It was the day of the hearing, a packed courtroom in the county seat. Sarah sat straight-backed, wearing a simple blue dress. Thompson avoided her gaze, fidgeting in his seat. Witnesses took the stand. The bystander with the video, the woman whose son was slapped, even Bill, the retired cop. Evidence piled up. Records, statements, the petition with 2,500 names. Then, the shocker. During cross-examination, Thompson cracked. Under pressure, he admitted, "I thought she was just some ordinary woman, no one important. I lost my temper." Gasps filled the room. But wait, there's more. The judge revealed internal memos showing the chief knew about Thompson's issues and did nothing. It was a cover-up. The key moment? Sarah's testimony. She stood, voice clear. That slap wasn't just about me. It's about every person who's been pushed around and stayed quiet. I was ordinary, but now I'm not. The judge ruled in her favor. Thompson fired on the spot, department fined, reforms ordered, cheers erupted. Outside, reporters swarmed. Sarah hugged Lisa, tears of relief flowing. The town changed overnight. New training programs, community oversight board, real progress. Wrapping this up, what started as a simple slap turned into a movement that shook Riverside to its core. Sarah went back to teaching, but with a new spark. She inspired others to speak up, proving one person can make a difference. Thompson? He left town, last heard working security at a mall, a shadow of his former self. The community healed, stronger than before. Stories like this remind us, never underestimate the ordinary ones. If you liked this, hit that subscribe button for more wild stories.